So we're here in this magnificent barn, which is Grade 2 star listed. We're in the amazing village of Southpool in the heart of South Devon National Landscape. And this barn has had the benefit of a historic building restoration grant from the Farming and Protected Landscape programme, but it's Historic England funding rather than DEFRA funding.
RC Pillar and Son were asked to come in and do what we could. It was unsure at the time how far we'd be able to go with the time scale that we had. When we came in, the place was a complete mess. We had to clean out the insides. Some of the trusses had dropped. They were laying on the floor at the bottom. A lot of these were all hanging down. We had to support them and make the place safe before we could even clean it out. There was obviously a lot of repairs to do on the earlier trusses, which we were told were 15th century. We filled in the mortise holes. Although they looked really wormy, a lot of the timber was really good inside. And then we started doing our thing, cutting scarf joints and doweling and putting them right. Try and keep as much of the original elm as possible. Although it looks like it's rotten and fallen apart, it's incredibly hard inside. And so we bolted through the new oak into the elm and then pelleted the holes. So hopefully you can't see what we've done inside there. And then finished it off with dowels for the ties. So the top of the walls were repaired when we built in the trusses. The trusses were sat on new oak pads and we used cob blocks to reinstate the wall so that we didn't show the cob blocks and the sharpness and the square edges of them. What we did was, with the old cob that came out, we sieved it and then made it up into like a plaster sort of substance and then spread it over all the blocks, rounded the edges. So we ended up with the original colour and hopefully it looks like it did when it was first done. So this piece of the wall here was been completely rebuilt and it had a vehicle had come down the drive and knocked into it, and so we built that from this level up. Has been reinstated along with the little triangle at the top to match the other side. So for the stone repairs in the barn, we managed to source a lime putty, which we colour matched to the original, and it even has the slate, so little bits of slate in, and left a couple of days to dry. We brushed the joints and it brings the slate to the surface, which is an exact match to what they have there at the moment, and that's gone in very well.
I am Richard Gage. I'm the council's senior heritage specialist, one of them. I've been working with Southampton for a quarter of a century, not quite as old as this magnificent barn, but still a long time. So I first became involved in this project about 3 years ago, and when I first turned up on site, this building looked considerably different than it looks today. It was in quite a dire state, really. So I've turned up today to have a look at the work that's been undertaken. I guess the end goal for us, which is securing the long-term preservation of this quite magnificent heritage asset. And it's an outstanding piece of work. And here we have got a team not only knows what they're talking about, but has the skill set in which to pull some of this carpentry off, because it's truly magnificent. It's a joyous thing for me to see when I turn up to a scheme like this. What effectively we've got here, through the skill set of the people who've worked on the project, through the generosity of the funding, is a mechanism to secure the long-term preservation of this Grade 2 star listed barn. And for me, that's joyous, and that's what it's all about. You only have to look around you to see the skill set of the carpentry that's been employed. The techniques used today reflect the techniques that were used 400 or 500 years ago, and that's what it's all about. That's what there's modern, honest intervention coupled with a nod to the past, and those two things sit harmoniously together, and that's what conservation and preservation is all about.
So I'm Lizzie Luckes. My husband Martin and I own this threshing barn here at Southpool, and we were lucky enough to receive historic building restoration grant funding through FiPL to restore the building. It's been a labour of love, a massive project to take on, and started probably with initial thoughts back in 2020 as to whether or not we could do anything, what we could do. And we went through the process of getting listed building consent, and at that stage thought there was no possibility that we could ever actually fund this project. It was so huge and in such a bad state of repair, really, from the rain coming in different places. And over those 5 years, we managed to get to a stage where we thought, well, we might be able to do something. And then found out about this historic building restoration grant, which came in exactly the right time. We managed to get a team of people together who were able to help us on this journey. And together, we've reached this pinnacle now where we are virtually finished, and amazingly, that's what the grant funding has helped us do. So on this project, we've had an amazing team. My project help manager has been Steve Talling, and he has really helped me advise the process. And then we've had RC Pillar Builders, in particular Kevin Tapper, who's been amazing, and he has dutifully restored everything. And Kevin Tapper has put so much effort into this, and all the work that he's done to ensure that it's being done in the most sympathetic way to the heritage has been amazing. Although the barn itself is an agricultural building and it's going to remain so, we're delighted to have been able to restore that and keep it then for the next generation. There are no plans for doing anything else to this barn. It will still be an agricultural use. And although it's not open to the public, we are really excited to welcome people here on some open days later in the year to be able to come and see what is actually being done here and appreciate it. The project itself has all been funded by the Historic Building Restoration Grant funding through Historic England, that's been sort of administered through the Farming in Protected Landscapes. And the key about that is that this project, when we were at a stage of desperately needing funding, this project came along, funded 80% of the project costs, which has literally made the project happen rather than the project basically not getting off the ground, and the fact that the roof would have probably fallen in this winter if we didn't actually have it at that particular time. So it came along perfectly at the right time, and many a time we've spoken about how the stars have aligned to make this happen, and it really did feel that that was just a wonderful grant funding that we could move forward with, and it's helped us do a project we wouldn't have been able to do